Right, so reminder here, okay? Nothing gets past you. I want nothing in that net. All right, boss, don't worry. Understood. Now, you said nothing goes in the net, so I just stood to the side because I thought that meant me as well. Don't really think the instructions were clear enough, for God's sake. Yo guys, it is your boy Niran here, and you are watching FTW. This, of course, the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. But what's been kicking off in the world this week? Well, after Twitter workers were locked out of their headquarters, rumors had it that the social media app could be finito this week. This, of course, all after Elon Musk's record takeover. Can't lie, tomorrow has the potential to be a little bit lonely on the timeline.
Give me a hell yeah.
We've got Teslas trying to desperately reinstall a non-existent Twitter app instead of focusing on driving. What does this mean for football, though? Are Arsenal going to have to announce their starting 11 on BBM instead? If Twitter does go down and we lose it forever, we still have to save the old tweets. I'm talking Wayne Rooney, Tammy Abraham talking about eating a beast, and of course, the greatest of all time, Victor Anichebe. Now, if you could just say something like, "On to the football, though, now," and the World Cup is here. It's crept up on us, but the tournament in Qatar is fully underway. I'm looking forward to moments like Shabalala's dancing, Zinedine Zidane's headbutt, you bald mate. And I'm hoping for a truly great tournament.
It's called soccer. It's called soccer.
Tough time lasts.
Now, despite all the controversies that have led up to this tournament, and that have, to be honest, engulfed it as well, there's still plenty of football fans glued to their TVs at home, and their entertainment started with the home nation's opener versus Ecuador. How the fuck am I explaining to my missus that we're watching Hassan Al-Haidos and not Strictly Come Dancing that evening? Babe, I thought this was date night.
Hey, Jim, they're doing the work, they're doing and they force what they...
Now, we were coming into this one with rumours of a £7 million bribe offered to Ecuadorian players for them to purposely lose 1-0 to Qatar. Here we have Purvis Estupiñán naming his bribery price.
5?
More than that.
10?
More than that.
50?
A lot more than that.
150?
Little bit less.
140?
122.
Qatar's highlights are going to be interesting after setting the referee cash as well, not to give fouls against them. Here we have Ecuadorians after being offered £16.2 billion to score a 78th minute bicycle kick own goal.
Today I feel Qatari.
Moises Caicedo will be planning for the future already after seeing the cash come through on his Monzo.
Right, I'll put the helipad over there. I'll put my Olympic-sized swimming pool over there. The 5-bed mansion can go over there.
But this one didn't exactly go to plan.
He writes his own script!
As ex-West Ham United man Ener Valencia grabbed a brace and gave Ecuador a 2-0 lead. For God's sake, I put my life savings on this 1-0 to Qatar. And then I cancelled it as soon as I saw this in warm-up. Yes. Qatari officials are not going to be happy seeing Ener at half-time.
What in the hell do you think you're doing out there?
Playing football, sir.
I didn't say nothing about winning.
There was Qatar you've conceded to a Don who faked injury to escape child support bills. And he has 2 goals at the Qatar World Cup, whilst Pele has 0. And it's into Pele! Ah, for crying out loud. There was different emotions for Qatar's goalkeeper, though, when he saw his scheduled jail time at the break. There was controversy in this one early on, though, with this VAR decision coming to an offside conclusion to disallow an Ecuador goal. Ah, yeah, looks totally fair, lad. That special agent sat next to the VAR officer was doing his job. Ah, so basically, I'd probably say that it's onside. For fuck's sake. Yeah, no, I don't see Qatar getting out of this group, to be honest. Obviously, to clarify, they didn't actually bribe anyone. Well, correctly anyway. But one Arab nation did fare a little bit better. Saudi Arabia provided easily the biggest shock of Qatar 2022, and maybe the biggest surprise ever at a World Cup, beating Lionel Messi's Argentina 2-1 in Group C. They're not even in the world's top 50, and they're playing against the favourites for the tournament. Well, I mean, some people's, obviously. It could never be mine. Even the guy in charge of the scoreboard couldn't believe this one. The first half went to plan. Lionel Messi scored a penalty. There were more offsides than a Timo Werner compilation. Honestly, man of the match was this guy. I knew the starting 11 was a little bit sus for Saudi Arabia. VAR had to just chirp in every 6 minutes in this one.
I'm about
about to disrupt a football match.
So it wasn't helped by Argentina's strikers, I'll be totally honest. But the Argentines didn't take their chances in the first half, and they lived to regret them in the second, with goals from Saleh Al-Shairi and Salam Al-Dozari, and the second being a banger to turn it around. Lionel Messi clearly realised he wasn't playing Clermont foot halfway through this one. Here he is being asked to do anything in the second 45 against 51st in the world.
So we don't have the capacity.
This guy turned into the tournament mascot. He was subject to antagonising on the halfway line by a Saudi defender. How those growth hormones treating you, mate? Yeah, I mean, I'm still treated with them. They do a pretty good job. I was meant to be like... But after late pressure from Argentina, Saudi Arabia held on. Who's the king now? Well, it's actually that piece down there. That is I meant I am the king. For God's sake. Leo didn't exactly get the response he was expecting when he asked for Hassan Al-Tambakti's shirt at full time.
Listen, son.
Get the fuck away from me, dog.
I can't believe Paulo Dybala reconstructed his entire knee to watch this meet. Honestly, Saudi Arabia really turned it on in the second half. It was like they were a different team. But Saudi's fans were loving this one, bringing out Ronaldo's Su celebration after beating Lionel Messi. And over on Japanese TV,
기쁨을 만끽했습니다. Excuse me, where is Messi? Where is Messi? Anybody see Messi? Where is Messi? Congratulations! Thank you so much! Where is Messi?
For Saudi Arabia's squad though, massive well done, unreal props here. And their manager Hervé Renard deserves a massive amount of credit. AFCON legend and a hero in Saudi Arabia too. But for Argentina, listen, when they're not at Copa America, they're looking like El Salvador. And it was a similar giant killing over in Group B, as Japan launched a comeback on Germany.
Asano, still going! Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
A Japan fan in the crowd was taking time off here. He thanked his boss, and it was well worth it. He saw Ritsu Doan and Takumi Asano get one over Ilkay Gundogan's first half penalty. The worst part is for Germany, both these Japanese scorers are Bundesliga players.
Do you know Hansi Flick? Hansi Flick. Was ist das? Bundestrainer, German coach. Aha.
And I felt betrayed.
This is a complete fucking over of Germany. Though with Japan involved, we might have to censor that one actually. Oh wow! Oh my. Yeah, I can't lie, lads, this trim is why they lost. Germany were destined to lose from the start here. Even Japan's fans are good. Meanwhile, Germany's fans are not quite as focused. They got Nico Schlotterbeck playing like he's Paul Dummett. Manuel Neuer was concerned as he saw Asano run through on goal. And Jamal Musiala's at Gareth Southgate's office asking to come back to England.
So I'm like first reserve then?
Well, we haven't really got any reserves, so sort of no.
Cool.
Now before kickoff, and Germany were protesting not being allowed to wear their rainbow armband due to Qatari sanctions. And so they protested by covering their mouths for their picture to show that they don't have free speech. I mean, it's not going to do much, but at least Germany are vocal. Well, I mean, they're not, they're covering their... But it's going to make life very difficult for journalists. So why exactly do you think you lost today? Thomas, please, I need you to... Again, though, shout out Japan. They were extremely positive, their substitutions were brilliant in the second half, and they fully deserved the win. Now, I spoke about it in more detail here, but England brushed aside Iran with a 6-2 victory in our first group game. I now have full faith in England to win the World Cup, even if Iran didn't have any faith in us before. The first action in this one came through a scary collision between Iran's goalkeeper and one of their defenders, ended in a big stoppage, and their shot stopper almost came back on, looking like he'd done 12 rounds with Deji. Iran's physio had no sympathy at half-time when he was asking to come off.
You've got to fucking die to get 3 points!
We got a view of the poor guy in hospital here after.
Okay, he'll do it. Thanks, God.
Now I understand why they wanted to keep him on, because their new goalkeeper couldn't save a word document. Oh, Jesus Christ, it's worse than we thought. We did run out pretty easy victors here. Jude Bellingham put in a masterclass, despite Jude's performance and Conor Gallagher wants more game time, but Gareth Southgate's response will be pretty clear.
But I mean, I want an 11-inch penis. It's not going to happen.
One man I'm annoyed at is Harry Kane. How's he not scored when we've got 6? I put my mortgage down on that. I'm heading over to Ladbrokes and demanding an answer.
Here's the money back. Here's the fucking money back. I want my money back. I want my money back now. I'm getting serious now. I want my fucking money back. Here's the money back.
Next up, though, is the US, and this is a serious clash, because the loser has to keep Piers Morgan. This is a 21 Savage custody match, and if we lose, we're not calling it soccer, because it's still wrong that they call it soccer. But the US faced Wales in their first group game. They dominated the first half, then just completely sacked it off and drew 1-1 in the second.
Boys, peak fam, when it comes crashing down and it hurts inside.
The These lot got to the end of the fourth quarter and just gave up. Got Christian Pulisic asking for a timeout.
Mother trucker, dude.
Weston McKennie shooting from 47 yards, hoping for a three-pointer. Goodness! The "you suck" chants didn't exactly go to plan for the US here, and they had to dig deep into their singing list after the equaliser.
I believe that we. I believe that we. I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. I believe that.
Now, Wales started this one with their traditional squad picture. We had this lady singing the national anthem very passionately, but in the first half, there wasn't the same passion from the players, who performed like they were from Shoreditch Power League. There's no shock, is it, to be honest with you? Aaron Ramsey and Joe Allen are still needed. How are they going to try and motivate the squad?
King Kong banging on my chest, I'm global, running up numbers, money man.
Timothy Weah was playing for the US here. Joe Allen played against George Weah. Wayne Hennessy is 57 years old. Now, I know most of this Welsh team are actually English, but it was Weston McKennie having an identity crisis. That's the French flag made. But of course, it would be Gareth Bale to save Wales once again from the penalty spot as well, and what a penalty it was. Shout out as well to Nico Williams here, who lost his grandfather the day before the game. Props to him for managing to put that aside for a full 90 minutes. Now, the biggest win in the World Cup so far came as Spain absolutely battered Costa Rica 7-0. Now, just before kickoff here, and Aymeric Laporte was struggling to remember the Spanish national anthem. And I'm sorry for my sins. You can't tell me this kid ain't Iniesta with a wig on. 82% possession for Spain at one point. Dani Olmo and Marco Asensio had to calm down Alvaro Morata and reassure him he'd get on the score sheet too.
He's in the block. Just calm down, bro. You're gonna get some.
Spain's goalkeeper was a viewer like the rest of us. He was chilling out by the halfway line, seeing Joel Campbell on the ball again. Luis Enrique will be on Twitch after this game, bragging about the result.
Send that to your fucking friends.
Costa Rica, I'm not familiar with your game, and I don't want to be, but I did feel bad for them. Imagine being 6-0 down and seeing about 24 minutes of injury time come up. There was the revelation that Ferran Torres' girlfriend is his boss's daughter. He's becoming a son-in-law, so he gets penalty duties. So Luis won't be too happy when Ferran's at a family dinner and has to take free kicks as well.
You know, let's not take the piss here.
Now, elsewhere, and Everton fans were doing the most at the World Cup, going out and about, exploring the country, and accidentally ending up on a night out with Qatari princes.
And I've only managed to get us back to fucking a naughty one with Nawaf and Abdulaziz, and it's fucking going off. He's got Lambos apparently. It's mega. I get it.
So, a football fan walks into a bar and doesn't get served. Qatar confirmed this week that there will be no drinking inside or around stadiums for the World Cup, after originally confirming that pints would be allowed. Official alcohol sponsor Budweiser were surprised by the news. Look, if you want to ban alcohol, given the beliefs of the country, then I guess fine. We're waiting for the tournament to start so that you can drain all the money from the supporters in the first place, and then doing it is outrageous. Are you telling me I've got to watch Romelu Lukaku sober? The ban didn't stop one supporter sneaking in beer as Coca-Cola. Imagine risking jail for an IPA. Saudi Arabia fans are still having a great time. A man ripped his own door off and threw it out. What is going on? The Netherlands beat Senegal 2-0 over in Group A. Rest in peace, Cheku Koyate, who was hitting the balls and literally died here. This one wasn't really a classic. Snoop Dogg was identified as Senegal's boss. Meanwhile, Memphis Depay was devastated in the studio after not starting.
Heart been broke so many times, I don't know what to believe.
France begun their World Cup defence with a win over Australia, but the Aussies actually took the lead here in the 9th minute. Kylian Mbappe was thinking of changing allegiances 3 minutes after seeing his French side go behind.
Today I feel African.
But Olivier Giroud sorted it for everybody, becoming the joint highest French goalscorer of all time, alongside the great Thierry Henry. Now, Lucas Hernandez suffered a nasty ACL injury in this one, and was replaced by his brother Theo, who got that substitution being recreated here. And after all that hope, Australians everywhere are not going to be touching a croissant for years. Oui. Elsewhere in Mexico drew 0-0 with Poland. Again, not a classic, but Guillermo Ochoa was defrosted by Mexico again to become the hero here, saving a penalty from Robert Lewandowski. this guy actually just respawns every 4 years. It's nuts. I'm just concerned. I don't know how people are gonna explain to their bosses they're taking sick pay for a 6th straight afternoon to watch another 0-0.
I've been sick for the past 3 days. The first thing I did this morning was sneezed 3 times.
Men across the country explaining to their girls that they can't go shopping because they've got Tunisia 0, Denmark 0 to watch. There's no cinema trip tonight. He's got to scout Jakub Kaminski, mate. Belgium took an unconvincing win elsewhere versus Canada in only Canada's 2nd ever World Cup. And they could have won this one, honestly. They had all the chances in the world. Alphonso Davies missed a penalty. Drake cursed these lot purely by being Canadian, for God's sake. But after all the missed chances, and Batman saved the day. And that's a ball in! Erling Haaland was at home acting on instinct, seeing that Kevin De Bruyne ball. And in charge of this one, the referee that blew too early at African Cup of Nations. There will be a minimum of 17 minutes of injury time. Over at Switzerland now, I don't know what on earth is going on here. Rael Mbolo became the first ever man to not celebrate because he scored against his former nation. The Cameroon-born striker decided to be respectful against the motherland. There were Kims all over the place at South Korea. Imagine doing the register for this. It's gonna be a nightmare. At least Italian commentators knew how to deal with it.
La Corea del Sud con Kim, Jung.
Me, I've cheated the system. Just stick a tenner on a Kim goal.
This was the banker. This was the one that couldn't fail. This was one that's never failed.
Tunisia's opener started in fiery fashion as 2 minutes in, one of their defenders went crunching in on Christian Eriksen. Of all people, Christian, come on.
He could have been killed.
Meanwhile, Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal beat Ghana in a mental match in Group H. Osman Bukhari brought out the Sue celebration in front of Cristiano Ronaldo while still losing. Suing at 3-2 down, then losing 3-2 is crazy behaviour. This guy forgot Ghana were behind. But Ronaldo, of course, has been in the news this week after leaving Manchester United. He's playing at the World Cup on a 0-hour contract. He was distracted by drawing Pepe in midweek. And distracted by arse elsewhere. Manchester United are apparently going to sue the Portuguese striker for his antics in Piers Morgan's interview. Cristiano says sue. United say sue. Their chef is probably still called Sue. I've been here for 45 years. Meanwhile, Speed thought he'd finally met his icon, only for it to be a lookalike.
Give him a hug, give him a hug.
Now though, on to our goals of the week, and we've got some more beautiful ones for you. First of all, away from the World Cup and over in Ethiopia, this is an absolutely unruly volley.
What a goal!
And our second goal of the week is, of course, those acrobatics from Richarlison. Now, elsewhere, Javier Hernandez, or Chicharito, is distracting himself whilst the World Cup is on by streaming and shithousing his way through Call of Duty.
You're fucking.
Shut up, motherfucking bot!
You guys are fucking bad.
You are fucking bad! Shut the fuck up!
In the real big international game of this week, and San Marino faced off against St. Lucia in the Caribbean, and they scored a last-minute equaliser to grab themselves a 1-1 draw. One day we'll see them win a game. Meanwhile, one young migrant worker approached Frankie de Jong whilst he was training for the Netherlands and attempted to convince him to join Liverpool. The working conditions this guy's had to endure are still better than our midfield. Just take that in. Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty. And that concludes The Beautiful Game. They're closer to home and over at Wimbledon. They faced Tranmere Rovers and won 2-0 this week in League 2. One Tranmere fan was complaining, saying that Wimbledon were the worst side he's seen so far this season. Ayub Azal brought out the tears celebration, and Wimbledon used it to reply, saying thanks for having us. It's a shithousery award for the South London side. Meanwhile, over at Chippenham Town,
here's to Jack for sending this one in. The physio delivers a ball right in the head.
Elsewhere, and I think in South America, we've got the perils of being a cameraman when there's other cameramen about. Benfica's women's side won 17-0 this week in a league match against Moreirense. I say we just probably call it a day and sack off the reverse fixture. And speaking of Moreirense, their men's team in Portugal were also probably pretty confused and tired with this amount of extra time going on. That's like every game at this World Cup, mate. Yeah, nah, lads, I've had enough, I'm afraid. Over at Partick Thistle, and we've got a referee, unfortunately, clattering into a footballer here at Kings Lynn Town, and they managed to concede in the 94th minute to Hemel Hempstead's goalkeeper, and his name's Craig King against Kings Lynn. Meanwhile, over in Chile and at Colo Colo, it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for, because over in Romania, we've had some complex, ridiculous stories in this nation recently, and it's not getting any less crazy here. At FC Botoșani, and they want a boss by the name of Croituru back as their manager. Now, Romanian laws suggest that he wouldn't be allowed to manage them because it would mean that he's taken charge of a third club this season, which is already mental, by the way. So Botoșani, set on their man, are gonna offer him a playing contract instead. This is outrageous. Surely this is illegal. They're gonna offer him a role as a player, but instead he'll obviously just manage the team as well. Now, elsewhere, and there's many different reasons why a game could be stopped. The weather, a pitch invader, for example. Not usually a rhinoceros just jumping on to the pitch and then getting pushed off by the players. Over in Bhutan, which, again, this might be a debut for a nation in FTW, but if these are their goalkeeping standards, then they might feature again pretty soon. Poland and their national team were offered an air escort by a set of jets on the way to the World Cup. It's for obvious reasons after the missile that struck the nation recently, but I can't help but be concerned for what the jet pilot's seeing through his window. Meanwhile, over at Rwanda versus Sudan now, and this friendly wasn't too friendly at all. Now it's time for Still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now. This is a segment of the show where I bring to the best of Sunday League and amateur football, and this week we've got a sensational story for you, which in fairness is not really coming from like an amateur team. I'm sorry, look, listen. Technically, according to the rules, I think these guys are semi-pro. They play down in the Isthmian Football League, and it's taking place over at Basingstoke Town. We're getting into the late stages of a match that these lot are playing in, and the admin's giving updates. However, that's about to change when he has to come on and make his debut. In here, James Clark is coming off, and Jasper Rowland, the admin for Basingstoke Town, is coming on to play for them. I would love to see him try and multitask here. Okay, so Jasper Rowland gives ball away. Trying to tweet game. On to the weird stuff though now. The categorical maddest story comes from Warrington Town FC this week, where Tony Thompson, their goalkeeper, had his water bottle emptied against Guiseley Town by a Guiseley supporter and then pissed in whilst he wasn't looking. Now on the hour mark, and he takes a sip, realizes what's gone down and squirts it back at the fan after finding out, and then Tony himself, the goalkeeper, gets sent off and the fan is allowed to stay in the stadium. Now Tony felt massively aggrieved by this, as you would, saying he'd fallen out of love with the game, and that person had put his family's health at risk and made him sick. Absolutely mental. This is probably one of the maddest stories of FTW history. But Tony, I hope you get well soon. Please do not piss in goalkeepers' water bottles. Over in France, and honestly that could have happened in the lower leagues, because a mass brawl broke out between two amateur sides, leading to one of their bosses having to go to hospital after being attacked by a fan. But ending on some positive news now, over at Bath City, and recently we heard the story of Alex Fletcher, who'd collided with advertising boards and ended up with a serious head injury. Now, originally he was in a serious but stable condition. He has released a statement this week thanking fans for their support and saying that he aims to be back where he belongs soon. Hopefully it indicates that we're going to see him back playing football one day, and that realistically is the dream. You can find a GoFundMe for him and his family down in the description. But finally, we've got the wholesome story of Jose Marrero, a Venezuelan goalkeeper over in Portugal, who upon victory in one of their lower division games was clapping the supporters before realizing that his grandmother, who he hadn't seen for 4 years, was present in the crowd. She was invited over by his club to give him a surprise, and the reaction was so wholesome. But that, though, is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course, subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.